Ethereum rallies over 15% in the past couple of days, but is it due to test back down towards lower levels? We'll be looking at the Ethereum chart as well as the Bitcoin chart in today's analysis to look at exactly what is happening in the cryptocurrency market, as well as look at the latest news from Goldman Sachs about Ethereum. Hello guys, and welcome to the House of Crypto. I make videos about Ethereum as well as other crypto updates. So if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button to be kept up to date with all of the latest happening in Ethereum as well as latest ICOs. Now, in some exciting bullish news for Ethereum, Goldman Sachs is to offer Ethereum futures and options. And in the past, we've talked about when other companies and when other exchanges have offered futures and options, which is very exciting because it obviously offers larger player investors to get involved. And obviously Goldman Sachs is one of the biggest banks in the world, and when they're sort of getting involved in offering futures and options, it makes it potentially easier for larger scale investors to get involved into Ethereum as well as other cryptocurrencies for a range of different services. The multinational investment bank Goldman Sachs has offered more information on its cryptocurrency services. The bank intends to offer both options and futures contracts on the market's second largest cryptocurrency. Bloomberg first reported this back on the 14th of June, which was yesterday, saying that the firm had plans to move beyond Bitcoin. Okay, obviously, we've seen a huge rise in the interest in Ethereum more recently, not just from retail investors, but also from institutional investment. When news like this kind of comes into the market, we've seen before Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, etc. offering leaked reports, leaked pieces of news, trying to kind of perhaps rally people into cryptocurrency and to get the markets moving again. We've seen a fairly static period of time for the last few weeks now, and it's starting to sort of look a bit more bullish, in my opinion, with regards to sort of the sentiment that's being put out in the news. Okay, this obviously offers more institutional interest, and institutional adoption is here to stay. Okay, the arrival of companies like Goldman Sachs and its new Ethereum products is a strong indicator of where the market is going. It's not only the only major bank and institutional player seeking a foothold in the market, with several others also joining in the past 12 months. However, this is a far cry from the remarks made by such institutions in the past where it decried the asset class. Okay, so, as I've mentioned, in the past, these companies, these big banks have sort of stated that cryptocurrency was sort of worthless and wasn't really going to go anywhere, was basically a big bubble, but now you can see obviously they've got involvement and obviously they're getting involved and making stories. Now, obviously the exciting thing about institutional investment coming in is that it adds momentum to the market. However, it does kind of open us up a bit to a lot more in terms of market manipulation, and don't be surprised as in the future we see sort of big pump and dumps, big dumps and pumps, because this is what the institutions will be doing in order to be able to get in low and to be able to sell high by manipulating the market with their sort of news, etc., whether that be fear or whether that be kind of hype, etc. So always be cautious of news that you're reading, and kind of try to understand and think about what I talked about in the past, which was the market sentiment, or the market sentiment that is trying to be driven by the bigger institution. Now, as we can see, this is looking at the Bitcoin on the 4-hour chart. The reason I'm looking at the Bitcoin chart is because it's obviously playing a huge role in what's happening with Ethereum right now, where Ethereum is pretty much mirrored exactly what has happened to Bitcoin. And in Bitcoin, we had this large sort of descending pattern, which ultimately usually plays out as a bearish pattern. But obviously yesterday we had this huge push to the upside where we went up around sort of 15%. And this has obviously been met by some stiff resistance around the level of around $40,000, $41,000. And why potentially might that be a key area of resistance for us is if we take Fibonacci retracement from the top of this swing high, previous swing high, all the way down to this swing low, and then we move it across, we can see that earlier on today we came up and we touched the 0.382, pretty much just below the 0.382, which is clearly going to be a key line. And in the past we've touched it and we've played around with this as resistance once, another time back on the 26th of May, before kind of dropping slightly lower before this breakout today. Now, what we do often talk about and what we do often see, and I've mentioned it many times before, is that we need to have big volume on the breakout. And as you can see from this part here, we really didn't have much in terms of volume on the breakout that happened yesterday, which has meant that we've kind of come up and we've found a bit of a sticking point, and unsurprisingly at the moment we appear to have been rejected. But that's not necessarily a bad thing, because when we do have these breakouts, the key thing that we tend to look for is for it to come back and retest another level. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to come all the way back to perfectly hit this line before moving back up. And sometimes it doesn't actually happen, and we never see that kind of retrace. But what we've seen with this sticking point, and the longer we remain at this time period, I can see that we will potentially be coming down to at least around the sort of $38,000 level on the Bitcoin chart. And if we then, come down and we stick above this orange line and we see a big amount of volume coming in, then I can see us then moving back all the way to the upside, because this would be the perfect confirmation for this pattern, which will clearly tell us that this sort of downward trend is over and move us into a very bullish sentiment. Now, jumping back to the Ethereum chart, we've obviously seen something quite similar play out. Obviously, it's a different shape pattern, and we are seeing slightly different things happen. But in terms of if we were to take a drop back down here, this is around a sort of a 6%, 7% drop. And actually, if you look across at the Bitcoin chart, it would also take a 6 or 7% drop to hit the top of the channel on the Bitcoin chart, which would potentially mean that we would then be moving back towards the upside. And again, with Ethereum, we could then expect it to perhaps move out before retracing and moving back to the upside. Now, obviously, at the moment, there's nothing guaranteed. We're still within this channel. This volume is still quite low. It wouldn't surprise me at all looking at the Bitcoin chart to see Ethereum coming back down to around the $2,400 level, which could be a perfect buying opportunity if we see both Bitcoin and Ethereum holding this key level here. However, if Bitcoin does not hold that level and comes back down and basically is faking everyone out, then we would potentially see Ethereum take a drop out the bottom of this channel. However, the way that Bitcoin is now pumped out of that channel, there's going to be what was really stiff resistance now turning into support, and that's very positive in terms of what's happening in Bitcoin as well as Ethereum. So in terms of my most likely scenario is basically if we follow this green line, I can see us coming back down towards this sort of $2,400 level and then taking a move back to the upside. So this could potentially present us with a fantastic buying opportunity, in my opinion. Obviously, go away and do your own research. I'm not a financial advisor. It's up to you to go away and do your own research so that you're comfortable with the trades and the purchases you make, because obviously you've earned the money, so it's up to you to go and look after it wisely. Now, we did have this breakout over on the Ethereum Bitcoin chart, but we did have a break to the downside before here, pretty much having the perfect retest that I was talking about and then coming down. But we've found, again, solid support at around the 6.2% level. And what we've seen to put in at the moment, if we can hold this pattern, is a solid looking double bottom. And the double bottom does tend to be a very bullish pattern. If it can break this neckline here at around 6.8%, then I think we're very likely to sort of move back towards the top of this pattern here at around the 7.3%. And obviously, if we look down here on the RSI, we've also got a double bottom here where we have it being very overbought and being then slightly less overbought here. So it'll be interesting to see what's happening in the Bitcoin chart as well as the Ethereum chart. If Bitcoin moves extremely strongly, at the moment we could see Ethereum probably rallying harder than Bitcoin, because obviously Bitcoin has far further to climb, far more need for investment, etc., to come in to push that big market cap up. I've already talked in the past about emeraldrockets.com, which is a fantastic ICO, and today they've been talking about some big news. Emerald Rockets is a utility token for a marketplace or an education marketplace, which is hoping to become sort of the Expedia of education, offering online education courses to make education available to the masses at a much cheaper cost, as well as providing universities, etc., with an opportunity to increase their revenue by creating courses and bringing another stream of income. So it's an extremely exciting project. If we look over to the Reddit story today, then Matt Byron, the CEO, has talked about making progress with a major educational consortium. Our conversation with an education consortium is making progress. We're in discussion about creating the API, which will add tens of thousands of courses. This is still a great deal of work ahead, but there's still a certain step in the right direction, and we'll share full details when we unveil version 2. At the moment, they've only got around 1,000 courses, but they're making huge progress. We've seen the price kind of fluctuate, but started around 1 cent. It's still up around 900% from its initial launch, which I covered a few weeks ago. But we have seen it take a little bit of a drop, predominantly because the price of Ethereum and Bitcoin have taken a drop too. So it's obviously going to reflect on that as well. You can go over to Emerald Rockets. I'll leave a link in the description as well as the code that you need to get on SushiSwap. So by sending Ethereum into this code at SushiSwap, you can convert your Ethereum into Emerald Rockets. And in terms of potential, it's already sitting at only at around 8 cents with quite a small market cap. This, in my opinion, is a really big problem to solve. Emerald Rockets, in my opinion, is a bit of a no-brainer. Obviously, the price of education and the access to education is obviously a huge problem in the world, but it's looking to really expand and hit into a market that has very little competition, in my opinion. They're starting to get other big major players on board, so it's looking really positive. And if you go over to this website, there's loads of videos from Matt Byron, who's the founder, who can talk you through how to buy the token, as well as to explain more about the platform, more about the token and what it does, and then you could potentially see a big gain over the sort of next year or so. Super exciting project, so make sure you go and check that out. ICOs and new launches are some of the best ways to make money, especially in a bull run, and especially in a bull run that's just sort of recovering from a big dip like we've seen recently. So don't be surprised if you see Emerald Rockets taking a huge pump along with Ethereum, etc. in the coming weeks, especially given this positive move. None of the founders or many of the early investors have been offloading their crypto, so in my opinion it seems to be a very stable project, whereas you see a lot of our ICOs come in, pump and dump, and they kind of fall apart. But Emerald Rockets has been around for a few weeks now and has started to grow really strongly, so it might be a really good opportunity for you to get in low and go and take a look at this project. Guys, I hope you've enjoyed today's Ethereum update. As I mentioned, things are looking much more positive in my opinion, but you know, things can always move against us, so always be very careful. If you're going to be trading with leverage, etc., make sure you're taking the right precautions, because you can obviously go and lose all your money. If you're looking for a time to get in and buy, then in my opinion, as I've mentioned, if we take a drop back down towards this level around the $2,400 level, or just above $2,400, then I think that's potentially a really great opportunity to get involved. As long as we're getting a good solid amount of support from this orange line, and as long as Bitcoin can manage to hold above those key levels. Guys, thanks very much for watching. If you're new to the channel, then make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. It really helps me to deliver this content to more and more people and to get more people involved in Ethereum, which is, if you're an Ethereum holder, is nothing but a good thing. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you again tomorrow with another video. Bye-bye.